He's the voice of Wolverine. And he's like, oh yeah, Wolverine. He's strong. He's quick. He's kind of angry, but he has a heart. Yeah.
Well done.
This is Mikey Kelly. He's Silver Surfer. Yeah. Oh, Silver Surfer. Yeah. He's cosmic. This is Travis Willingham. Hulk smash. This is Antony Del Rio. He voices Reptile. Who? It was the most humbling. Everyone cracking up. The most humbling experience. I'm like, it's okay, sir. You don't have to know me. I know you. I love your work. I have a favor.
Okay.
I actually prepared some questions because I knew David was going to be here.
I love it.
Me, yeah.
I knew David was going to be here. Jennifer, I'm so sorry. I didn't know that you were going to be here with us, but I have a few questions. I thought it would be fun.
I'm not slighted in the least. It's okay.
Jen, stand by.
I thought it would be fun, so
He's got cue cards.
Wait a second. I want to ask Jennifer, aren't you staying on until when Tom Kenny shows up later on this afternoon?
I'm staying on.
Yeah, Tatashore.
I'll come and go. Oh my God, I got to see them. What time are they coming in? Because I'll come and go and just help my kid with the yard in between.
I have a question for Miss Jennifer. What was it like to reprise the Cinderella role?
Oh my God. It was a dream. It was a dream come true. It was wonderful. It was just, I remember that audition. I used to sing jingles before I moved out to LA. And, you'd have to learn the song really fast. And also I started singing in cover bands and clubs when I was 15. Illegally. And I went to that audition. This was actually in Alabama. I went to that audition. I know, it's sorry. Well, Alabama, everything goes in those days. Anyway, I went into the audition and they had a tape recorder there because it was the mid-90s. And nobody was there. Like I had the room to myself. So I would just rewind and play and rewind to play and rewind and play. And I learned it like a jingle. And then, that empathic thing that all of us actors have. I connected to her as a person. I was like, oh, I so get this. Yeah. And it's just been such an honor and a joy. I came across we'll just say a forbidden photo of some cosplay that never happened with me and Russi Taylor a very long time ago.
Oh, Russi.
In the castle. And it was just like, oh my God.
So for the next person to donate $1,000, Jen's going to send
That's right. Wait, can I donate it now?
Yeah.
No, it's not like that. It involves a very
10K
sweet
heroes
cosplay. We're technically
Jennifer,
not allowed to do.
Jennifer, I have a follow-up question. What was your favorite role in Star Wars?
In Star Wars?
Did we not start in Clone Wars?
Well, actually, we started in Knights of the Old Republic with Basta Lashan, who was a Jedi, in a game where she was light and dark, and I was terribly confused. I'm like, this is a completely different character to the one I did earlier. All right, I'll be evil now. I was so confused in the record. And then it was
Clone Wars with
Clone Wars.
Gandhi.
It was which was incredible. It was Ayla Secura in that
amazing.
one. Yeah, thank you. I love it so much. Ayla Secura, French Resistance, I don't know why they cast me as someone who kicks things to the floor.
Right.
And then Rao Chuchi popped up in that one as well. And then she came back again in Bad Batch, which was super fun and also super terrifying because, Dave Filoni was directing. He loves to play with dialects. And so we were just having this field day. I'm like, I'll make it somewhere between Australian and New Zealand and I'll dial in a little Brit and we'll just mosh it up, which is fine when it's, every month or two, or every week or two, however long you're going back in. But when 10 years later, it's a totally different show. And they're like, hey, bring her back. I'm like, sweet. And I listen, I'm like, what did we do?
I know. What are you saying, Jennifer?
I had to study so much to get her back. I was like, oh my God, this accent is a nightmare.
And you were always game. Thank you for
I love it. Are you kidding? I love it so much. And since then, I've been able to become my own grandma in the Star Wars universe.
I love sticking with it, girl. Sticking with it.
I had a chance just quickly, I had a chance to work with Dave Filoni once in a couple episodes. I can't remember which one it was. I was like, General Tandon, something, blah, blah, blah. And I always was amazed because I would just watch and sit and watch Dave direct. It's like, okay, let's just run it. Like, let's go 1 to 4. Okay. Yeah, you know what? You guys know what you're doing. That sounds good. Let's go to the next one. I go,
so chill.
wow.
So chill.
Yeah, you guys know what you're doing.
You know what you're doing.
Did you ever get to work with Gordon Hunt?
Yes, one of my first jobs with Gordon was.
I'm gonna say this, and it's probably incorrect, but not. Gordon Hunt was at Hanna-Barbera.
Yes.
And Gordon Hunt was the godfather of all of those who came after him.
He was.
Including Andrea Romano, Chris Zimmerman, myself after Chris.
Chris started my career.
Yeah. See?
Chris is another one.
I mean, Gordon Hunt Ginny McSwain.
Yes.
I mean, you guys, the tried and true. I was the last at Hanna-Barbera, and so grateful that I got to learn at the master's feet. Chris was my mentor for 6 months.
Yeah.
And then Ed Collins, my engineer, taught me the rest.
Just Zimmerman was your.
Isn't that what? It's a
It's
small
Zimmerman.
world.
Yeah.
Because Gordon Hunt was the first. It was Exo Squad, I believe. Him. He came up to Vancouver at the time, and that's when I went. I gotta go back to where he, and that was the first time he directed me in a show was Exo Squad.
Amazing man. Amazing.
One of the most deeply kind humans I've ever known.
Yes.
Yeah.
And his wife, BJ.
We've got some questions coming in from the chat.
Yeah.
A young man named Bob Bergen would like to know when you and he will be smoking cigars.
Bob Bergen?
The Bob Bergen.
The Bob Bergen?
Who will be
Doesn't say
there?
it.
Is Bob
Just
coming
says
in?
Bob is coming in at 5 o'clock.
I saw him at the Emmys years ago.
Our Porky.
Yeah. Oh my God. Cigars.
He
what he
wants to
said.
know.
Are you a cigar guy?
I used to be. I did have one a couple weeks ago at a wedding because it was on a rooftop downtown, and it was kind of like, you know what? I'll have one. It was a small-
And you thought, where's Bob Bergen right
This
now?
isn't right without.
What? This is not
No,
right.
because it was years ago, and I lived in Toluca Lake. I promised Bob we'd get together for bourbon and cigars. And I used to be more of a cigar smoker, but as soon as the pandemic hit, I went, oh no, I can't smoke because I got freaked out. And so I basically stopped. And my doctor says, you're not still smoking cigars. I go, no. And I have one once in a while, but I will smoke one with Bob.
Yay.
I
There you
absolutely
go.
would.
And I will
because,
smoke one with you.
Yeah,
and
and I
Bob.
almost brought you a bottle of wine because I know what kind of wine.
I know you know.
So Bob, that's on the internet now.
Yes,
It lives
it's
forever.
on the
You can
internet.
hold
Lives
it to
forever.
it.
Please, Bob. I have your. Actually, I will text you when I get out of here. I think I still have your number. You have mine. But we
And
should
you
set it
know
up.
you have a contact.
Yes.
I
So
know
we'll
how to put
figure.
you all
Yeah, 'cause
together.
I would love nothing more, Bob.
All right.
Please.
David question.
Yeah.
Anthony.
Oh yes.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry,
Now,
Anthony.
what am I
Anthony.
Anthony.
Yes. Okay.
To Dave.
Okay.
Sorry, dude. Oh, yeah.
So I thought this would be fun. You were born in like '88.
Yes,
So-
it
Don't
was.
you
So
dare
you
tell
had-
me
Yes,
what
yes.
year I was born.
Yes, it was. Yes.
Yeah.
You've done
Continuation
plenty.
that topic.
You've done plenty of work. Over hundreds and hundreds of. I'm assuming.
And I
of-
don't
of-
remember any of it.
Of things.
Funny enough, yeah.
Well, funny you should say that because I'm going to say some lines. I looked up some lines, some of the dialogues that you have said,
You're
some of my
so
favorite
mean.
things. Some of my favorite things. I want to know if you can remember.
I'll try.
Some are harder than others.
I will try.
Okay. So this first one, which character said this? And here comes the adventurer now, never apart from his faithful dogs, blank, conceived the craft for a canine comfort. It's a veritable floating palace in the sky, complete with doggy bath and mechanical canine walker.
Is that Up?
That's Up.
Up.
I didn't
Yeah.
know you did Up.
Yeah, that was
I
my.
didn't know you were an
Yes, that was my first Hollywood premiere on the green carpet in
the
front
green-
of
on red.
downtown. And where's Jimmy Kimmel? What's the
On Hollywood Book?
El Capitan.
So-
I remember in the
That's
yes,
still Disney
yes.
Theater.
Adventurers out there, Charles Muntz,
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So David basically
Yeah.
starts that movie off.
Yeah, and I made myself cry. It wasn't me, but the scene that they
Right.
showed of them,
Again.
at the beginning. And
Use
it's interesting because Mr. John Voight was sitting behind me, and I was, I guess, kind of scared because he's a scary man. And I was sitting there, my wife and I could hear this,
Oh.
and I turned around and I was like, John Voight is
You
crying.
made it happen.
So it wasn't me, but it was the scene, and Pixar does that wonderfully.
is.
But I was,
Yes, they do.
But that was my first ever sort of.
David.
So
You get to share in the credit. You can own your little
Truly.
piece of that.
I-
It was partly you.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
okay.
how did that? Was
There's
that
a
kind
lot
of
of
like a stepping? Like how did that come about?
Here's the thing.
Was that a dream to do a Pixar movie?
When I was doing voices when I was a child, I would mimic people. I have a cassette. Remember the cassette tape? That's how old I am. A cassette tape. We put it in, and I would mimic the guy on the radio in my hometown station. And I would turn I have it. My mother has it. And I'd turn the voice down and go, "This is David. We're here on the time the CKPT was the worst call out on the planet." But I would pretend I was like, and I just had this fascination with old mics and old announcers. And every Christmas, what we do. Christmas Eve, I'll turn on the old radio shows. I have an old 1940s
Love
Zenith, like a
that.
beautiful piece of furniture, and I'll Bluetooth the old radio shows. Hi, this is Bob Hope live from Burbank, California. Here we are. And I used to mimic the voices. the Pall Mall cigarettes are good for you. You should smoke them. It's, according to your doctor, these are great. And
the pattern, the pacing, and
the
timing.
pacing. And every decade of sort of speaking has a different
cadence.
It's like, to me, it's like jazz. I grew up on jazz, and it's this thing.
The musical notes.
Adventure is out there. The way they talk, back in the day, because the mics weren't like those mics that you had to shout into them. It's Charles Mutt, it's Zsa Gabor, it's, Rex Warner driving a Cadillac down Hollywood Boulevard, and it's this whole weird thing, and that's
like
what I was
calling
thinking
out a
of.
horse race.
Yeah, and I can see it in my head. I can see it's black and white. I see the picture, the big lights, the Klieg's going back and forth across the sky, and there we are downtown. I just could hear it in my head, and as soon as I did that audition, I went, "That's really good," and I hate everything I do. I go, "That's I gotta have a shot at that, right?" And they called me. First session was Warner Brothers, and it was me in a giant studio, and then they flew me up. They flew me up to Oakland to Pixar. And
of course they did.
And I went in there, and I was like, I'm at Pixar. And there's Mike and Sully with the big giant, you walk in.
Yeah.
And there was a guy in a rat suit. It was crazy, but I was just amazing. That was like surreal. It's still surreal that I actually...
Go.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're also prolific in promos and trailers. These are a little tougher. I don't know if you're going to get these. Okay. Mm-hmm. Max is bringing you the hair-raising, mind-blowing tale of how it all began.
Max brings the hair-raising, mind-blowing tale of how it all began.
Beautiful voice.
Gosh, I don't know about that. Max.
So successful.
It was a Wonka promo.
Oh yes. I was on the Wonka campaign this year, which is fun.
Sweet.
Yeah.
This year. This
fall.
rendition.
Yeah, the newest one.
Wonka rated PG-13 in theaters Friday.
Funny note about that. James Arnold Taylor, who was so gracious enough to send us in a pre-recording, and Jat. I named him that. Do you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was me. I just couldn't do the James Arnold Taylor every single time. But anyways, Warner Brothers, Johnny Depp, new Willy Wonka. We're gonna do a game. We need somebody to sound alike, but we can't have you hear any of the pieces that Johnny Depp did.
Yeah.
Johnny Depp, the man goes all over the place, right? You never know who he's going to end up being like.
Yeah.
He's on the red carpet. I'm listening to him. I'm getting foundational voice of him. And I go, how? No, I literally have to drive like 25 miles to have the secret meeting to get these clips because they don't trust a courier to take it to me. And James Arnold Taylor, I hear Johnny Depp speak. I go, James will do it. James and I took those 8 clips. We mastered them. We listened to them 24 hours, nailed the game, did the whole game. Then Willy Wonka comes out. Who doesn't sound just like Johnny Depp? James Arnold Taylor.
Yeah.
We did it. I
Wow.
jumped in on, but it is such a cool story.
Yeah, he's insanely
of what we
talented.
do to get perfection.
Well, on that, we can stay tuned for later on during the 24-hour broadcast. We're going to play what James Jack did for us. He's so generous and wonderful. I mean, I want to go hang out with that guy.
Oh yeah, tour of his studio and
it's gorgeous. Yeah, and just
all the amazing
wonderful
characters that he did.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay.
I'll do this one. This one's a deep cut.
Okay.
You've got to admit, though, that's a heck of a drive. 450 yards, huh?
Oh, Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore.
Seriously.
Yeah. We were doing
I feel like I should have these questions for you.
Yeah, this is great. We're doing a regular show episode.
Jennifer.
And a regular show, which is, I used to play the giant baby and a bunch of characters on that.
show.
Yes, we shall eat cake.
That was a fun show.
And J.G. Quintel, you remember that show? And walks in, Chris McDonald walks in the cast. And I go, hey, Chris, I'm David Kaye. He doesn't know who I am. Do you remember the Happy Gilmore scene? I was like, he goes, oh my God, that's you? You don't look anything like you. I said, yeah, that was my hair. I don't know, but yeah, we had laughs on that set all day long. We were just laughing our heads off.
I bet.
Yeah, to be.
And that was another just audition.
Yeah.
You auditioned for that.
I get little checks now and again that come in the mail for like 4 cents. And
I love that.
I grew up on that movie. That was just one
Happy
of those.
Gilmore. It's on all the time.
We have a question from the chat for you about, did you get a chance to talk to the original cast of the X-Men series?
I got to visit with many of them at the premiere. I wasn't actually going to the premiere because I didn't realize it was the premiere. It was just phrased differently and ended up going last minute. And I'm so glad I did. And yes, I've gotten to connect with them. And now there's a bunch of us on a text thread. And apparently last night, J.P. Karliak, who is brilliant and plays Morph in the show, was somewhere and there was an X-Men drag show. And it was the greatest. Yeah, great. I don't know if I'm allowed to reveal that, but it was absolutely brilliant. Yeah, it's the show. I'm so proud of that show. I'm so proud of the work we're doing, and I'm so excited that the powers that be chose to weave the original cast in with the new cast, and even the cast members whose voice prints have shifted to the point where they don't quite match into the role anymore. They have new recurring roles, and they're still part of the show.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
it's
beautiful.
awesome.
It is a family.
Yeah.
It is a family.
Yeah.
The continuity is really important.
Question for
Yeah.
Antony.
Anthony. So, Anthony, you the chat is asking, you were in a Super Bowl ad.
With that mustache.
And what was it like being in a
mustache.
Super Bowl ad versus doing voiceover?
Truth is, the stash was the star of that Super Bowl.
Truly.
Let's be honest. It was
Beautiful.
It was great. That one. It was a BMO commercial. It was with Lamorne Morris. If you don't know Lamorne is from New Girl. Amazing actor, super funny. They flew me out to Toronto. I was there for 4 days, and it was amazing. It was a lot of fun. I had to basically we were in a pottery class, and I had to kind of make this pottery and smush it while saying the lines, while it felt very much like this. I've never done this pottery stuff like making in my life. But a lot of fun. I started my career on camera. Like I started on Hannah Montana and Jonas. Like on camera was my thing.
A lot of fans right there.
Yeah, and then VO just kind of blew up. But yeah, Hannah Montana, Jonas. I had a show on ABC Family, Bunheads. So it was. You're familiar? Are you a fan?
Well, I just love the word bunhead.
Yeah.
You can't miss that one.
No. That's very
But no, it's I mean, like I told you, when I heard him open his mouth in the first section of He-Man, I was like, oh man, this kid's good.
brilliant.
I love that.
Thank you.
Oh yes, that's right. That's right. Was that the last time we saw each other?
Yeah, it must have been.
Yeah.
Well, nobody
yeah.
knows what you're talking about.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
So let us know.
We just were informed by our illustrious producer in the booth that David and I worked together. I knew you from somewhere, man.
Yeah.
Because everyone's like, "Who's David Kaye?" Everyone's like, "When's David Kaye?" I'm like, "Who's David Kaye?" Now I know. I'm an idiot. But we worked on Legend of the Three Caballeros together with Matt Danner. At Disney, which
Matt
was
Danner is coming in
Matt
later
Danner's
on
coming
as
in.
well, 9 o'clock.
And what do you remember of that
Eric
production?
Bauza.
Because it's a blur to me.
Yeah, it was a chance to work with Eric and because I met Eric on Coconut Fred's Fruit Salad Island, and when him and I were still in Vancouver, and I said, "This other kid," I said, he opened his mouth, going, "Okay, he's going to go someplace." I mean, I just knew right away. And Matt was directing the show. Right, he was first to hire. No one would hire me. I was always hired for quick, follow me toward the danger. I'm the this guy or whatever. Yeah. And I did this weird character called Bungaberry.
Okay.
It was a weird thing, and that's Matt hired me to do that character. He said, "Dude, you came in and did this weird thing." And it's like, who is this? And we became fast friends, and I just had lunch with him a couple of days ago.
Oh, wow.
So I hadn't seen him since before. But that was we did that. Didn't we do that? Was that here?
We did it here.
Yeah.
We did it here.
Salami.
At Salami.
Go Salami Studios.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a duck. I was like this duck, well-dressed duck.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's right. You were the
well-dressed
dapper
duck.
You were the dapper duck.
The dapper duck. Yes,
that
of course.
was courting Daisy for Donald
Yes,
Tan.
right.
Yes.
Courting Daisy.
Well, it's funny because Matt Danner and I had offices right next to each other at Warner Brothers when he was doing Coconut Fred, and I was doing my Scooby movies, and that's when we met each other. Now Danner and I have been working together for 20 years on and off. We're still
It's amazing.
We're doing
He
stuff now.
yeah.
It's the glory of this industry to work with such beautiful people again and again and again.
Well, did you work with Derek Wyatt and that crew here at Scooby Doo in the studio? Because I did a bunch of episodes when Derek was alive. Derek Wyatt. He designed some of the one of the.
Oh no, I was just before that. That was the project just after.
That was
Mystery Inc.
You work on Witch's Ghost? Did you work on that one?
Yes.
No.
Not
Yeah.
Oh, Derek, I think, did.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because you and
that
I
one-
were in. You were in that series. I was in that series. I know you were.
Yeah,
in
we've
that
been in
series.
so many things together. Witch's
Witch's
Ghost is
Ghost was
insane.
a
The amount
video.
of love I get for
And
Thorn.
Jennifer is a hex girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are Scooby on what I'm blanking on words. Royalty.
Toga.
You are Scooby royalty.
Yes, you are.
You are.
Thank you. I'll take it.
Yeah.
It reminds me, David, when we worked together on oh my God.
Oh, the Avengers Assemble. That.
Yes,
That's
yes,
another
yes.
one.
That's where we met.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where you-
Friday's open.
that crew.
Friday would say 10,000heroes.com. Yeah. Remember that, Colette?
Motu, it's this voice. Hey guys, check out 10kheroes.com. And please donate Whatever you can.
You know, David, my strongest, most nightmarish memory of Avengers Assemble was the day you came in and you had a sore throat, and I had great success with oregano oil, and I did not realize the cap was loose. So David goes like this in his beautiful, trusting way. I'm like, just a couple drops. He goes, and I go like this, and the lid comes off, and the entire thing pours into his mouth. And he was so gracious about it. I was like, oh my God, that's gonna burn like fire.
Thank you. That's so great. It's perfect. Yeah.
I
I feel
love.
bad about that to this day. I'm like, oh my God.
We have all been functional practitioners from way back.
I remember the day I was all so upset. My heart rate was up. I was driving to the studio because we had a Ben 10 record, and I got there and he goes, let's take some levels, and I'm like, oh, and he goes, you said go home. I go, what? Just go home. I go, I don't want to go home. He says, no, go home.
I can't tell you how many times I've had to tell actors to go home because it's a waste of time and it's a waste of their voice and it's not there. Yeah. And all of a sudden the apologies are like, you felt like you kicked a dog or something. You guys are so apologetic. And I'm going, well, do it again.
Yeah.
We'll get you when it's solid.
Jen, question from the chat.
Yes.
What was it like working on Baldur's Gate?
No, that's huge.
Oh my God. It was a long time ago, and it was awesome. You know, those were the early days, right? That was like the Wild West. I think that was the 90s, the first one. And, I remember the first game I ever did. It was the most confusing job I ever did in my life. It was the game that went with the Where on Earth is Carmen Sandiego series. And I went in the session, and they're like, just say the names of flags. And, old school trained actor. I'm like, well, what's my moment before? And and who am I talking to? They're like, just say the flags. I was like, what? I asked like 3 questions, and then I was like, oh, they said just say the flag. So just say the flag and you figure it out. Yeah. And so those early days of games were a lot like that. It was
It's before voice directing, really.
Yeah.
It was before acting.
That crew, we did have some good, people, it's such a really brilliant group of people, this whole industry. Like, everybody's smart. It's pretty cool to hang out with everybody. Yeah, Antony, it was really fun.
Got a question for Antony. What's your favorite voiceover?
Well, He-Man has to be one just because it was just such a magical time.
Ensemble record.
It was an ensemble
That is why
record.
he's saying it. There's such a difference. Yeah. You all will agree that there's nothing like an ensemble record. The only way I know how to do it, or prefer to do it, like a radio broadcast, have you guys a radio play.
It makes such a difference
and
when you have everyone there.
The beauty of it, and I'm sorry I interrupted your answer, but the beauty of an ensemble record is that when David wasn't there, you now know, Antony now knew what he would sound like, and so that he would almost hear the voice of the person who wasn't there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then he would repeat it. Or if you're Roger Craig Smith, you would do David's lines when David wasn't there as David, as his character.
We were doing it. We really always do each other's
people
voices.
mad.
Jen, I remember when we did Shaolin Chronicles here at Salami, and I just remember the run. Like, we would get a run going. It was you, and it was Tara, and it was Bowser, and it was Kree. I mean, it was just...
I have a note to that wonderful production. This is my casting request. They have to be LA based. They have to be Canadian citizens. They have to be, we have to do it in 2 hours. Yeah. And I do believe, there was a lot of other stipulations, and there was like 7. And I narrowed it down to, Eric and Tara and Jennifer and Maurice LaMarche and David. And
was that the other one?
Yes.
Kree was in there.
The second one.
Kree Summer.
The second one.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's where I met you.
Was that?
You were Clay?
I was Clay. I believe I was Clay. That's
Yes.
right. I was Clay.
Yeah.
And
I was the producer. I was the other guy that moved with just gray hair now.
I know. It's the hair.
I'm like, I know this guy.
We're all there, honey. We're all there.
Buddy.
Can we start this again? We'll just start it from the beginning.
It's me.
Now that you guys know.
I'm sorry. Please answer my question to you. I don't want to forget it.
So I loved He-Man. I have to go also with just the roles that followed me even up until now. So Pit and Dark Pit in Kid Icarus Uprising and Super Smash Bros. Echo in League of Legends.
Yes.
And then the first show I ever did was the Superhero Squad show. A Marvel show. And I played Reptile, and it was another ensemble record, and that was the first time that I met Tom Kenny. Yeah. I met Charlie Adler.
Oh my God!
Had, like, all these heavy
You
hitters.
will always remember the day that you met Charlie Adler.
Yeah, you'll never forget that.
And then I worked with him again because he's a director on Rugrats, and I'm part of the reboot for Rugrats. But I remember going in. I must have been like 17 for Superhero Squad, and
such a baby.
Stan Lee came in. Because Stan Lee likes,
Stan.
Stan Lee likes to put his kind of, or he's in almost a lot of. Was he in Avengers
Oh,
at some
yes,
point?
he
yeah.
was.
Okay,
He's
so
in everything.
He was in with Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
I had the two of them in the room together.
I have stories about both of them.
So here's my story about Stan Lee. So my character in this show was someone that they just wrote for the show. So you had Iron Man, you had Captain America, you had Silver Surfer, all the big Hulk, all the Thor, all the big top people. I played this teenager that they just created for the show named Reptile, which was great. I had a great time. Stan Lee comes in. He played the mayor of Superhero City. At the end of our session, we're introducing him to everyone. And who voices his characters and stuff like that. So they're like, yeah, Stan. So this is Steve Bloom. He's the voice of Wolverine. And he's like, oh yeah, Wolverine. He's strong. He's quick. He's kind of angry, but he has a heart.
Well done.
This is Mikey Kelly. He's Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
Oh, Silver Surfer. Yeah. He's cosmic. This is Travis Willingham. Hulk smash. This is Antony Del Rio. He voices Reptile. Who? It was the most humbling. Everyone cracking up. The most humbling experience. I'm like, it's okay, sir. You don't have to know me. I know you. I love your work. And then I met him again, and he had no idea who I was.
Right.
So,
That's Stan, though. When was this? How recently was it that he didn't remember you?
well, this was.
No, this wasn't one of his characters. That's why he didn't remember Antony.
Yeah.
I got to meet Stan. I worked on the Spider-Man series in the 90s, and he would come to records frequently. And it was he brought us we were in his home as a celebration when the show launched, etc. And in one of the episodes, you talked about Mark and Stan in the same space. And I don't know if they were there on the same day, but Mark going on. The OJ trial was happening, and this is in newspaper times. Mark would sit in the corner, obsessed, reading about the OJ. He was so involved in this whole tale of judiciary, and it was fascinating. And Mark and I had a scene together. I think it was Hobgoblin he was playing, and we were they would bring us in groups who had scenes together, and everybody else would wait outside usually. And we would stand together, and the director had the most fascinating flair. He would direct in colors, and he'd make us do things. So we're standing next to each other, and he's like, "You two, hold hands for the scene. I think we need to add that flavor." So Mark and I are like, "Okay." So like holding hands, doing the scene. He's like, "More yellow," and we're like,
More yellow.
"Okay, you got it." More, okay. It was just we had the greatest time though. But yeah, I saw Stan. Remember, he was amazing. He was amazing.
Yeah.
I say I know him because I don't let people go.
Oh God, no, and you shouldn't. And the speaker was behind him, and every time I would speak with him, he'd turn around and talk to me. But I really quick, first time I met him, Comic-Con, going into an elevator. Nick and I are in the elevator going up to the room. All of a sudden, a hand comes in. It's like you see in a script on a movie, right?
Yeah.
Opens up elevator. It's his bodyguards, right? One steps in walks Stan, and I'm like, and at that point, I hadn't worked on any Marvel, anything. So I never had the opportunity to meet him. So I'm like, do I, don't I? Is it what you do in your head when you see somebody like that? Do you tell them? Do you know? Do you say, oh my, what? And then I just jumped out and put my hand out like a total fangirl. And he was so gracious. He was so gracious. And every time he was in the booth, he wanted to know where the pretty girl was.
He loves that. He loves, yes.
And I don't know if it was you or if it was Tara or if it was Gray
you.
or if it was whoever.
Well, as long as there's one.
As long as he'll be fine.
He likes
so sweet.
So question for the room, folks, for each of you. Jen, maybe we can start with you. What inspired you to get into the voiceover biz?
Oh, it's not as attractive as you think. I was working at a video production studio next to an audio studio, and they asked me to come next door and do a Valley Girl, and I was like, okay. And so I did it, and they paid me, I think it was $30 or $35, and I was like, what? Because I was still a teenager. And I jumped in, and I got mentoring and tutoring from the guys who worked at the studio, and I went door to door, cold calling out agencies with my tape, because it was in the middle of nowhere. We had no agents. I loved the freedom of it. I loved that I could earn a living and get myself where I needed to be. And then I fell in love with it. It's like almost like an arranged marriage. Like I fell in love with it as I got to know it and got into it. I just, because my first love is singing. And this was like right next door. I'm like, yes. And the people, I mean, come on. Greatest people in the world.
Amen.
Yeah. Like what an incredible gift.
Common thread happening.
That is
true.
Yeah.
Right.
Antony?
Mine was it was in between shooting probably like a Disney show or something like that. And it was weird because back then, I don't think it was as attractive to do more than one thing. So like I'm a singer as well. I used to be in this band Menudo when I was younger.
I remember Menudo. Yes.
Yeah. But whenever it got a little too serious, I'd always say, nope, I can't go any further because acting on camera was always just like my number one. So they try and give me kind of like a singing thing. I said, no, because then you're going to see me as a singer. I'm an actor. They wanted me to do this. Nope, I'm an actor. And then I got to a point where voiceover came, and it was kind of the first door that I said yes to, as opposed to all these no's, like singing and this and that. And I was like, yeah, let me try this out. And it kind of fell on my lap. It was one of those like in between shows. Okay, yeah, let me audition for this thing. Went in 3 times, and it was the Superhero Squad. And I think the ensemble was just so amazing on that show. Like it was a masterclass, very much like He-Man. It is such a masterclass being in there that I couldn't stop.
It's a high.
Yeah,
it's just nothing quite like. It's an emotional.
Seeing everyone work, it's funny. Tom would do his thing. He was Iron Man and Captain America, and then when he wasn't on the scene, he had his SpongeBob script on flat because he was recording right after, and he's like,
okay, can I just make note to that? Is a little segue. Tom Kenny, God bless the man. Yep. When we would send out boards, when I used to direct from a board, remember the flipping of the boards?
Yeah.
All my notes were all over my boards. Tom would look at every single board he ever received, and he received a lot.
A stack
of
papers.
Several of them on the stool next to him, and he'd pull them out. He didn't do the notorious bullshit my line. The man did line 1 through 50,000, and he looked and he was ready. If the second citizen had to scream, he knew exactly why that guy was screaming. He knew the whole.
Always did his homework.
The real deal.
Yeah. He was actually the one who let me, like I was watching him years ago, and I go, I should be doing that. And so because of Tom Kenny, every time I get a package, no, we're going through this. We're going through this. And he's the one there we go. And it was infectious. And I said, I need to be doing that. And that's because of him.
That's amazing.
This is the thing. People want that pill because now people are falling in love with this career.
Oh, yeah.
And they want that like light switch, like it's mine now. And I'm like, there's no secret ingredient. Like before I moved to LA, I had 8 or 10 years behind the mic, like constantly hustling and studying
and doing classes and taking on different things that made you grow and improv. And
I always tell people to travel and read. Well, they said, well, when I said travel, go explore, because everything you do in front of the microphone, it
has an experience.
There's another layer, nuance there. The more you read, the more you travel, the more you meet people, and don't stay in your own box. It broadens your whole world.
I just want to interject really quickly because we don't have names underneath you all. I want to say we are delighted to have David Kaye, Antony Del Rio, and Jennifer Hale here with us today, helping us with this amazing cause to eliminate chemotherapy for our babies. Any of the babies and littles that have cancer, we are supporting LLS, the Leukemia and Lymphoma. I always want to put lymphoma because of your Leukemia and Lymphoma Society research, and it's there. The science is there. We just need to give funding to make this happen so that they can immunotherapy rather than chemotherapy for our littles. So
Can
huge.
you say more about how that plays out for the kids' experience, what the difference will be for the kids?
Well, can I tell you the experience of one that didn't have this opportunity?
Yeah, and compare that to what your donations right now can make the change from what Colette's going to describe to what she'll tell you is possible.
Okay, and I'll try to do this, okay? But if I was to give it an analogy, might be a little bit easier, okay? We have a cold, and, we give our kids everything, amoxicillin. Let's just say it's an earache. We give them amoxicillin. And I don't even like to use that because immunotherapy is more functional, and it's not even, you're using the child's specific genetics to make the medicine that we would be giving them. So that they could fight off their specific kind of cancer, their blood cancer. How we experienced it, and I say how my daughter Charisse had experienced it, is that the typical, I'm not saying there's never going to be a blood draw because you're going to have to do those certain kind of tests, but chemotherapy is given to children is the same chemotherapy that's given to adults, but in a lesser amount. No developing body should have to take on the same medicines that we're giving, which is it's basically going in and killing everything. Short of doing a bone marrow transplant, it's attacking good and bad because it doesn't know the difference. Hopefully it does. But with the immunotherapy, it will be actually generated, calculated to fight that specific cancer in that child's body.
It's a custom-made treatment.
It's
like a custom designed little pill for them that doesn't annihilate their body with toxins.
It is a pill. It's a
pill.
It takes a genetic marker of the tumor, of the cancer itself. It takes a genetic marker, and then this is crazy science. It takes a stem cell.
Beautiful science.
It takes stem cell, and then it uses the HIV virus reprogrammed, because the HIV virus is just a cell killer.
And it's an aggressive.
So they reprogram a HIV virus, not to be HIV virus the way we think of it, but to use it for what it's good at, and say, here's, you're giving the scent to a bloodhound. Go find this smell.
Yeah.
Go find this genetic marker of only that cell and go kill it. And now take a pill. And it goes in and it eats that cancer.
And how it was before was that you would go on, and depending on your protocol, and you would go down to Children's Hospital, we did, and you would get hooked up to chemo. And number one, trying to find a vein in littles isn't always the easiest. And then you would have to do, and I'm not saying that this would be eliminated, bone marrow aspirations and spinal taps, and some of the chemotherapy would go into the spine. And I hate to be this graphic, and I don't know why I'm hesitant.
We have to,
but I want to be.
Material.
In order to give the methotrexate that they would give into the spine, because you don't know with blood cancers if it has gone into the spine, and once it gets into the brain lobe, it's pretty hard to eradicate, at least at that time. Mind you, we were doing this during the 80s. She started when she was born in 81, and we started this in 83, and then she passed away in 89, but in and out of remission 4 times. And they would have to take its spinal fluid out the same amount that they would put in of chemo into the spine that went into the brain. So, I mean, I could go on and on, but I think you get the gist of hell that, and you can't put children out. They can't be
Kids
under.
go through this
So
every
there's
day.
there's that horrific experience. And then there is the side effects of chemo.
Yeah.
Right? So you might survive the cancer, but the cure kills you later. And what they're seeing is, that 30-year-olds having organ failure who had pediatric leukemia when they were a kid, dying because it's just wreaked havoc. It's not the cancer anymore; it's chemo. And so that's what we're targeting. What's exciting is that they've already gone through the clinical trials on the adult version of this. I saw this film that the LLS showed me, and I'll have to find it and get it posted on our site of the approved treatment that's actually starting to be applied now out there for adults that led to the Dare to Dream initiative, which is what this is we're supporting with the Leukemia Lymphoma Society. Taking that same proven process and now taking it across and doing it for kids. And I got to go down to Cedars-Sinai a couple weeks ago and meet the lab scientists who are doing this. And it was just the most brilliant, mind-blowing people doing the most incredible work who are oncologists during the day. They're treating cancer patients all day, and then at night they go up to the lab, and when they're not writing grants trying to find money, they have to find their own money. It's just like Hollywood. It's
crazy,
like a Hollywood. They have to go beat the drum for money. Yeah. Guys, donate, please. The link is in the chat.
In the chat.
But literally going, oh my God, how do we come in and help you guys? Like you need to be focusing on the cancer, not the fundraising.
Not the funding.
And we're like, doesn't the hospital pay for it? Like, no.
And that's
it's grant writing.
Yeah. I just want to jump into everybody listening. Like, if that moves you and reaches you at all, you have the power, even if it's $1, $2, $10, whatever it is, $20, whatever. That makes a difference. It's like there is
no drop in the bucket.
Yeah, I was speaking at George Mason University a couple months ago, and I was talking about how little things add up. And people feel like they individually don't have power because everything you do matters. And especially in this moment, like you can matter for little kids, so many kids and adolescents too, because they fall into the pediatric treatment thing as well. And I was telling this gruesome story. It's a super gruesome story, so I'll tell it. It goes back to Teddy Roosevelt when he was president, went down to the Amazon. And you think a 12-inch fish that can't do damage to a 2,000-pound cow. As he's standing there on the bank of the river, this 2,000-pound cow wanders into the river, and less than 2 minutes later, it's gone.
Yeah.
Because those 12-inch fish were all piranhas, and they were all working together toward the same goal. So that cow is cancer. And I love cows, but imagines that large thing is cancer, and these little donations of piranhas going bye bye bye.
Yes.
10,000 piranhas, everybody.
Yes.
Go to 10,000piranhas.com.
We're going to change our whole
That is
campaign.
great, Jen. And we have to wrap it up. We have to keep this party rolling. You guys have been fabulous for coming in.
Gosh,
Jen,
thank you.
really special
Thank
to be
you.
here.
I miss you.
Oh my God.
I miss you,
like
Jennifer.
crazy.
it's the joy of my day to remember that we're best friends.
Yeah, I know. Right? It's such a small industry.
And Antony will be seeing your mustache in Vegas. I think
Absolutely. I'm already growing it back.
Too funny.
In high demand. He's in high demand.
Let me do your promos. Antony Dory.
Yeah.